The topic that I want to talk about is the CFA Level 1 exam preparation. CFA Level 1 exam preparation. And the primary orientation of the video is going to be for the December 2020 exam. But this would also be relevant for all the exams in 2021. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down my discussion into two components. First, I'm going to spend some time and talk about how to study, right? In general, how do you approach? So I would talk a little bit about, within how to study, I would talk a little bit about what kind of study material is available for study perspective. Then we will also have discussion on sequence in which you want to approach the subjects. And then in the last part, we would discuss a little bit about how the live classroom or other online product of FinTree works, which is anyways the second point of discussion, where I'm going to talk about the live online course that we've introduced, live online course for CFA Level 1. Which will kind of connect to this particular point. Okay, so that's the agenda. And I should not take more than 20 minutes. So I'll try to time it that way. And then whatever queries you guys have about the preparation, we'll have discussion on that. All right, so with that, I'm getting started. Now, first, let's discuss about what kind of study material are we looking at, which is available. And we'll look at the entire universe of the content which is available so that we can figure out a good preparation strategy. So first, of course, the most important element of study material that we look at is something called as the CFA curriculum, right? So this is the book that you get when you enroll for CFA exams, and you get two options. Either you choose the ebook version, right, which typically comes in a PDF format or into some app, or you can choose a print version, right? So that's up to you. Of course, the print is a little expensive, so you can figure out what option works for you. So this is what you get from the CFA sources. Then from CFA Institute, you also get access to something called as the candidate resources section on their website. Now, what is candidate resources? So it has two elements to it. It provides you some sort of a study planner. And more importantly, it provides you a high quality question bank. Okay, so these two components are coming from the CFA curriculum. Then there is also the private material available by third-party prep providers, right? So most popular ones, typically you'd hear a lot of candidates talking about the notes from a publisher called Kaplan. So those notes are called Schwezzers. And then there are countless other publishers in this domain. So we have people like Wiley and other guys who have their own publications as far as the notes is concerned. Now, in terms of what material to be used and how we've designed the curriculum is for all the participants who would be studying with me, either with the live online course or pre-recorded course or the classroom course, we highly encourage people to use the CFA curriculum because the whole idea is this, that CFA Institute is the one which is writing questions. So of course you can guess that the language of the questions, the orientation of the questions has to be based on how the text is written within the CFA curriculum. So this is going to be a great starting point for you to study. And a great strategy that we recommend is that if you're participating in the live class of FinTree, so live class of FinTree, or you're doing a pre-recorded videos. So all the essential juice that you need from CFA curriculum gets more or less covered in either of the two formats, either in the live class or in the pre-recorded session. Now this you supplement with CFA curriculum. Now, how I recommend using curriculum is if you're a working professional and if you feel that you're cramped for time, then you don't have to read the entire curriculum per se, then you can use it selectively. But of course, if you're a full-time student, you feel you have extra time to study, it always makes sense to go through the entire CFA curriculum. But within CFA curriculum, especially for working professional, there are two pieces boxes, which I believe are extremely important. One is called blue boxes. Now, what are these blue boxes? These are the examples which are there inside every reading. So what these examples do is it reinforce the stuff that you've learned. Then they have something called as the end of the chapter questions, right? The questions which are there available at the end of the CFA curriculum. So the whole idea is like this, that if you're attending class, all the important concepts from the CFA curriculum have been taken care of. So you participate in the class, then you go through the CFA curriculum, and depending on the time availability, either you go through the entire text or you simply focus on blue boxes and end of the chapter questions, right? So your learning and practice part is taken care of. And then finally, for revision, we have our own notes. We call them as juice notes. Now, if anyone of you have seen juice notes in the past, or in case if you haven't, we have a sample on FinTree website. You can download that. The content in the juice notes is same as what you'd find in most of the other publishers or even CFA curriculum. We've just taken the same content and we've presented at the infographic type of a fashion, right? So we've created flowcharts and memory techniques. So you do the same content, but you do it in a lesser crammed up, lesser space. So it saves you and optimizes on time. So this is the universe of the study material that I wanted to talk about. Now, in terms of how to study, so we've broken down the whole learning universe, the CFA preparation universe, into 3 steps. Okay, so how do you want to study? So we've broken it down into 3 steps. It's fairly simple. Step number 1 is learning. Step number 2 is practice. And step number 3 is revision, right? That's how you want to break down any curriculum into 3 smaller components. You want to learn, you want to practice, you want to revise. Now, how do you learn, right? How do you take care of learning? So clearly what you need here is you need a systematic plan. You need some sort of a schedule that help you figure out that what topic I'll be doing. Second, you also need a significant push. Now, what do I mean by push? So CFA is a long program, right? And the curriculum is vast, and there will be time within your study life that you'd get up in the morning and you'd feel that I'm not motivated enough, or you'd feel that maybe I'll not be able to do it. And that's where you need someone to constantly keep on pushing you. And what you also need is a good pace, because I've seen a lot of candidates with period of time, they end up spending too much of time on the first 2-3 subjects, and then they rush through the remaining one. So you need a healthy pace. I think this is where we come into the picture. So how we help you with learning is you can participate in the live online classes, or later on this gets switched to the classroom. You can also participate in the pre-recorded online classes. So these are your 2 possible sources of learning. Of course, apart from that, you complement that with whatever material you get from the CFA curriculum. So that kind of takes care of more or less every aspect of your learning. Then step 2 of this process is going to be practice, right? So if you just know the concept, but if you've not spent enough time in practicing it, that's not going to do the job for you. So how do you want to practice it? So within practice, what are the important elements? Number 1, you would get access to something called as the weekly test or the monthly test that we conduct, depending on which format you typically decide to go for. So the entire question bank gets broken down into small targets, and then every week you get a target to hit. So that's your weekly test. Apart from weekly test, there are about 5,000 questions which are available on FinTree LMS. Right, so these 2 areas will take care of big chunk of your practice requirement. Apart from this, there are some other high quality sources. Of course, one is that I discussed previously. Within CFA curriculum, we have 2 sources of questions. So we have blue boxes and we have end of the chapter questions. And then we also have candidate resources. Right, so that's a large body of practice questions that we are looking at. And then the third step is learned, and this is where if you're participating in the live class, then you also get something called as the class notes, right? Which typically what I write on the screen, uh, which will have essential summary of important concepts, and that we share with the candidates. So this is your 3-step learning process. So first you want to internalize the concepts, then you want to keep on practicing, and then you want to keep on revising. So that's roughly the structure that we are looking at. And then the final step is how do you approach in terms of sequence of the subject. So sequence of the subject through which you want to start approaching your studies. So what I've done is, as you guys know, that there are 10 subjects in the CFA level 1. What I've done is I've broken down those subjects into smaller blocks, especially the subjects which have a large level of integration with each other. So we have something called as corporate finance, financial reporting and analysis, and equity. So these 3 subjects generally work as one particular block, and it makes sense for you to study CF, FRA, and equity together. Okay, so you can decide in the hierarchy of whether you want to do first block or second block. But if you start with CF, it makes sense to finish these 3 together. Then the second block is quant, portfolio management, and economics. And the third block is derivatives, fixed income, and alternatives. Okay, so these are the 3 separate blocks, which does a total of 9 subjects. And the fourth one is, of course, ethics. So how do I recommend which sequence do you follow? So as far as sequence is concerned, the first step that I always recommend is do the level 0 course. Okay, so this is the level 0 course of FinTree. What we've done in level 0 is we covered all the basics for you. So you kind of do level 0 and all the important basics are covered for you. So that after level 0, no matter which block you start with, you find yourself comfortable with those concepts. Now, level 0 FinTree pre-recorded course is available free of cost for everyone. Right, so you don't need to sign up. That process is not required. What you simply need to do is write an email on admin@fintreeindia.com and tell them that you're interested in getting access to level 0 and job. Then they'll help you set up an account and activate it. So start with level 0. That's your step number 1. Then in step number 2, I personally prefer starting here with corporate finance, FR, and equity. But it is also okay to start with derivative FI AI. Right? So depending on your preference. Now, to start with either of these blocks, you're going to need a good background of mathematics, a reasonable background of mathematics. You're going to need a little bit of accounting skills, general finance skills, and all those concepts are covered in level 0. So that way you're comfortable. So maybe this could be step number 2, and this could be 3, and then this could be 4, right? So that's how you break it down into smaller pieces. And ethics is something that, it's difficult to do it in one go. So you break it down into smaller pieces. And you try doing this every day, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, right? Depending on how much time you have for studies, you break down ethics into smaller pieces. So that's more or less what I wanted to discuss. What I'm going to do now is get access to my mobile phone and see if you guys have raised any queries and probably try to answer them. And I hope the session is being streamed live. Otherwise, I've been just talking to myself for last 20 minutes. So let's hope that's not the scene here. Just a minute, guys. I need to get access to the video so that I can see your questions. I think I found it. Okay. Good. Yeah. So I can finally see the video is being streamed, and I can see that you guys are asking questions. Okay, let me answer some of them. So Vinay is interested in knowing what would be the pricing structure of it. So what I'll recommend, Vinay, go onto FinTree website. You'd find all the information there. So those guys will provide whatever help you need, and I think everything is on the website. So for you, it would be easy to find. Okay. When are the live sessions starting? Palak, we are starting live sessions from May 24th, and the sessions will remain live till the time we are in a lockdown environment. However, after that, the sessions will be moving to the classroom. So therefore, my recommendation is that this live program that we have, so we are recommending only candidates from Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad to sign up for it. We are not recommending global candidates to go for the live program. For candidates which are outside these four geographies, you can always sign up for the pre-recorded video course that we have on the FinTree website. The content is same. The only difference is that in a live class, we get to interact on a regular basis. Okay, now some of you are asking, how do we get access to the level 0 course? So I'm going to write down the email ID for you. So admin@fintreeindia.com is the email ID. So you can write an email and tell them that you'd be interested in signing up for level 0. Again, it's a free of cost course, and then they'll help you set up an account on the website. Sure. Any other questions you guys have, especially the questions that you might have put in the past? If you can put them again on the chat box, I'll be happy to answer them. Alex, will I be traveling to Mumbai, or will it be a broadcast? So Alex, most probably in this season, it's going to be a broadcast. At this moment, there's a lot of uncertainty regarding how the sessions will be conducted in Mumbai, especially with the whole traveling environment. So in case if it opens up, there's going to be a definite broadcast. It might be live in person as well, but at this moment, I'm not sure about that. Okay, now as far as CFA program is concerned for 2021, I can see many of you are asking me that question. Uh, so I would be doing a separate video on it because there have been a lot of changes. So as a candidate, you need to be aware of all those nitty-gritties. So probably sometime this week or next week, I'll be doing a separate video for the CFA program in 2021. Do we provide placements after CFA? That's the question Avi is asking. So Avi, we have a placement program. Our FinTree placements work purely on alumni network. What it simply means is that today you're participating in the course, and let's say you need some referrals or you need opportunities, and with our network you're able to generate one. What we expect is that in the future you help the community back, right? And that's how we've been able to build a large community of finance professionals in India, and these people help each other for getting jobs. So luckily in the past we've had good success with placements, but let me be clear, we do not promise any sort of placements, and neither we are a placement agency. Placement is just a benefit that we get because we've been able to build a massive network and we want to leverage on that. But yeah, if your question is, do we provide help? The answer is definitely yes. Okay, Jayesh, I think you were asking this question the other day as well when I was doing session on FRM. Now, your question is, how will artificial intelligence affect the CFA and FRM jobs? Okay, so there are different ways of looking at it. For me, the benchmark is, what happened in the industry when Microsoft Excel came in, right? So prior to Microsoft Excel, how typical accounting used to happen is in India, we used to have Munimjis, right? Or people who do manual accounting. And when Excel came in, what we thought is we thought that the banks will get rid of the employees and number of people will reduce significantly. But if you see what has happened, in fact, Excel has enabled us to achieve more, and it has created a lot of jobs in the long run. So I am in that group of the people who believe that all the new technology, you mentioned artificial intelligence, but we also have blockchain and a lot of promising technologies here. They will not eat up the jobs. They will change the nature of the jobs compared to how you and I used to work in the past, and what kind of skills we'll need in the future. But again, how it turns out is anyone's guess. But I am quite optimistic about how these technologies are going to affect us. Uh, Hopefully, I answered your question. Maybe if you want, we can definitely take the discussion offline. If we took pre-recorded video package, how can we solve doubts if you have any? So, Alex, there are two mechanisms through which you can resolve your queries. One is we have a support team. So just write an email to admin. They'll share support details with you. So whatever queries you have, you can email them to support team. Or we have a fairly active forum on the FinTree website. Now, one of the things that's unique with our forums is that we have one forum dedicated for one reading. So the forums are broken down into very small pieces. So all the queries that you have from one particular section, they get answered there and there itself. So that I believe will help you a lot. So you can experiment putting your questions on the forum. And in case if that doesn't work, you can always write to the support team. Okay, Shrikant has asked a great question. Let me see if I can answer that. So question Shrikant has asked is, how much time do we need to spend for CFA level 1 as a working professional for December 2020? Okay. So from now to December 2020, we are looking at approximately 200 days, right? Now, what CFA Institute says, is that for every level, you should be putting in about 300 hours of preparation. That's what the Institute has to say. Now, in my experience, for an average candidate, 300 hours might not cut out, primarily because the competition is very intense and your passing is a function of how well you do and also how well others are doing. So in my experience, an investment of roughly about 500 hours is a really good, comfortable way to look at things. So now it's up to you to figure out how are you going to put in those 500 hours in 200 days. One back of the envelope calculation would say that you just do probably 2.5 hours a day. But what I would rather suggest is you do 2 hours on weekdays, right? Monday to Friday, assuming you have a full-time job. Try to save those 2 hours for yourself. I always recommend this to candidates that try to use the early morning hours before you start your day and go to office, because that's when we are operating at our 100%. And then weekends, you try to invest a little more, right? So maybe on Saturday and Sunday cumulative, you try to do about 12 hours or 14 hours. And if you can do this consistently, and if you can pull off about 10 to 15 days of full-time leave before the exam, then I think you're in a very comfortable environment right now to pass these exams. So hopefully you got answer to your question as well. Okay, let me see. I'll take few more questions here. In case if I've missed anyone's question, I'll recommend you can put your question again and try to answer it. Okay, Vincent wants to know, is there an age limit for freshers at entry level? Vincent, there is no age level per se. I'm guessing you're asking about eligibility. So there is no age level per se. As long as you're a graduate or you have 4 years of work experience, you're eligible to take the CFA exams. Right. Kanasu wants to know timing of the live sessions. Kanasu, they're going to be on Sundays, the early morning, 8 to 12 Indian Standard Time. Initially, for the first 1 month, I'll just be doing 2 hours on Sundays, and then I'll be increasing the time gradually. Timing sessions, Pankaj, as I said, they would be on Sunday mornings. First 1 month, Redmi, I would be spending time on level 0. So we would be learning stuff like, how do you use calculator and everything around it. And after that, then we will start with the core subjects. Okay, so here's what we'll do. I will take 1 or 2 final questions here on YouTube. And then what I'll do is whatever other questions that I'm not being able to answer, you guys can simply put those questions in the comments of the videos. Comments is separate than the chat box, and then I'll try to answer there. Okay, so let me answer Vedant's question, because I think a lot of people have that question. So Vedant is asking, can I get an entry-level finance job after passing CFA level 1 or 2? So Vedant, that's a great question. And I believe that's the kind of significant advantage that CFA program provides over a lot of other finance courses, right? So for example, I'm a chartered accountant, and the thing with chartered accountancy is, I mean, okay, it's an okayish course, but you get jobs once you become a CA, but you have to invest 5 years to become a chartered accountant, and you do not get a job till the time you do not pass that CA final examination, right? So it's a long, frustrating 5 years of wait before you get your first job and you get your paycheck. But in case of CFA, the beauty is that you pass CFA level 1, and at least you can start looking for entry-level opportunities in the market. Now, in our experience, at least considering how the markets were prior to the whole COVID-19 situation, it was substantially easier for us to place freshers who had passed CFA level 1 compared to the experienced professionals. Of course, we were not able to get them a lot of salaries. The pays were entry level. They varied in the range of maybe 3 lakh rupees per annum up to 5 or 6, depending on the employer and the location. But the number of opportunities were huge. There were large number of recruiters who were hiring these freshers for entry-level finance jobs. So the question to your answer specifically is, will you get a job after level 1? I would say there is a good probability. Do not expect a very high-paying job. Neither you should expect a very interesting profile. The starting point could be mediocre, but you can build on from there eventually. Okay, and what else do we have? One last question, guys. And before I answer your last question, I have a request for you. And I've realized, I never did that in the past, but I've realized saying this make a lot of difference. So please like, comment, and subscribe on the video. So I think sometime back I kept a target of 80,000 subscribers, and now it seems we exceeded that, and now we're targeting for 90,000. So hopefully we'll reach there soon. So I'm going to answer one last question now, and after that I will take all your questions on the comments. Let me ask Pankaj's question here. Pankaj is asking, is live online course good for February 2021 as well? So Pankaj, yes. I think the December exam course will also work for Feb. It might also work for May. The advantage you would have if you're writing exams in Feb is you would be able to prepare almost 2 to 3 months in advance. So you'd be able to spend that time practicing questions. Okay, guys, so that's it from my side. I've exhausted the time that was allocated for this session. Hopefully, hopefully you found the session useful. Once again, my apologies for the take glitch that we had at the beginning. And all the questions that I couldn't answer, just put them in the comments, and I'll be spending some time in the afternoon today, and I would try to answer as many as we can. So with this, thank you very much. Keep yourself safe, take care of you and people around you, and I would see you soon again in one of the sessions.